Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to present on a topic that is both ethically significant and practically complex. The challenges of obtaining informed consent from adults with cognitive impairments in clinical trials. These individuals, often living with conditions such as dementia, Alzheimer's disease, or traumatic brain injuries, face unique barriers when it comes to understanding and voluntarily agreeing to participate in research. As researchers and compliance professionals, it is our duty to ensure that protection, autonomy, and dignity throughout the research process. Clinical trials are essential for advancing medical knowledge and improving treatments. However, when participants have cognitive impairment, the ethical stakes are higher. We must ask, how do you ensure that these individuals truly understand what they are consenting to? And what happens when they cannot provide consent themselves? These questions form the foundation of today's discussion. The refined research question guiding the study is, what are the ethical and procedural challenges in obtaining informed consent from adults with cognitive impairments in clinical trials? This question is crucial because informed consent is a cornerstone of ethical research. It is not just a formality. It is a process that ensures participants understand the risk, benefits, and purpose for the study. For cognitively impaired adults, this process becomes more complicated. They may struggle with memory, comprehension, or decision making, making it difficult to provide valid consent. According to a 2022 report by the Alzheimer's Association, over 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease. Many of them are eligible for clinical trials, yet their participation raises ethical concerns. Without proper safeguards, these individuals could be enrolled in studies without truly understanding what's involved. That's why this research question is not only timely, but also essential for promoting ethical and inclusive research practices. look at what the literature says. Gregis et al. 2025 conducted a systematic review of international policy guidelines and found significant inconsistencies in how different countries handle informed consent for cognitively impaired adults. Some nations require surrogate decision makers, while others allow researchers to access capacity on a case-by-case basis. This lack of uniformity creates confusion and increases the risk of ethical violation. Gordon 2020 analyzed IRB records from over 100 clinical trials and found that nearly 30% reported challenges related to informed consent. These included difficulties in accessing capacity, disagreements with surrogates, and concerns about participant comprehension. One notable case involved a participant with early-stage dementia who signed a consent form but later admitted he did not understand the study's purpose. This highlights the need for clearer guidelines and better training for researchers. Other studies emphasize the importance of ongoing consent. For example, a participant's cognitive status may fluctuate over time. What they understand today may not be the same tomorrow. This raises questions about how often consent should be reassessed and what procedures should be in place to protect participants throughout the study. To explore these issues, I propose a mixed methods approach. Qualitative component will involve interviews with IRB members and researchers. These interviews will provide insights into their experiences, challenges, and strategies for obtaining informed consent from cognitively impaired adults. We'll ask questions like, how do you assess capacity? What protocols do you follow when a surrogate is involved? And what ethical dilemmas have you encountered? Topoli et al. 2025 presents a mixed methods study that investigates the effectiveness and challenges of ethical oversights and collaborative health and social care research involving vulnerable groups, including individuals with cognitive impairments. The study utilizes both survey data and qualitative interviews with researchers and ethics committee members to explore how current ethical frameworks align with the realities of collaborative research. Findings indicate that traditional ethics review processes often do not adequately address the complexities of I cannot even speak. my apologies. Of participatory and collaborative research with vulnerable populations. The authors highlight the need for more flexible, ongoing, and context sensitivity ethical oversight. They provide recommendations for improving ethical review systems to better support research involving vulnerable groups. The qualitative component will analyze IRB documentation from clinical trials involving these cognitively impaired adults. We will look at the types of frequencies of consent-related ethical issues, such as incomplete consent forms, a lack of surrogate documentation, or reports of participant confusion. This data will help us identify patterns and areas for improvement. This mixed methods approach is grounded in pragmatism, which values the integration of diverse data sources to address complex problems. By combining qualitative and quantitative data, we can develop a more comprehensive understanding of the challenges and potential solutions. Let's dive deeper into ethical issues. First, assessing decision-making capacity is not straightforward. Researchers often rely on cognitive screening tools, but these may not capture the nuances of a person's ability to understand and make decisions. There is also the risk of bias, assuming someone cannot consent simply because of their diagnosis. When participants cannot provide consent, surrogate decision makers are involved. This introduces another layer of complexity. Surrogates must act in the participants' best interest, but their decisions may be influenced by personal beliefs or misunderstandings about the study. Protocols must ensure that surrogates are properly informed and that their decisions align with the participants' values. Federal regulations require IRBs to review consent procedures and ensure that vulnerable populations are protected. This includes ethical training for researchers, regular review of consent forms, and monitoring of participant comprehension. Some IRBs also require researchers to use simplified consent documents or visual aids to improve understanding. One promising solution is the use of assent. Even if a participant cannot provide full consent, they may still express willingness to participate. Researchers can use verbal cues, body language, or simplified explanations to gauge assent. This respects the participants' autonomy and ensures that they are not enrolled against their will. In conclusion, obtaining informed consent from adults with cognitive impairments is a complex but essential aspect of ethical research. These individuals deserve the same respect and protection as any other participant. By addressing the ethical and procedural challenges, we can create a research environment that is both exclusive and responsible. The study aims to provide practical recommendations for improving consent procedures, enhancing researcher training, and harmonizing ethical guidelines. Ultimately, strengthening ethical oversight not only protects vulnerable populations and participants, but also enhances the integrity and credibility of clinical research. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I welcome any questions or feedback that you may have. On this slide, you will see the references for the studies and sources cited in this presentation, formatted in APA style.